A couple things. Some of you guys have probably done Zoom before. I hope you guys can all hear me okay. If at any moment in time you feel like you can't hear me, please put a little chat thing and I'll try to read them as we go and answer whatever questions you guys have. So if you're not familiar with this platform, neither am I. So we're in this together. Let's get a little pic. All my video people say hi. Ah, perfect. Awesome. So this is my first time using it. If it's your first time as well, a couple things that I know it has, because I've done a little researching around, we have a reactions button at the bottom, so you can clap or thumbs up for anything. You have a little chat option, so if you want to ask me questions, you can do so privately, you can message me privately, or you can message the whole group if you guys want to message the whole group. So Ethan's already messaged the whole group, and Leanne, who says it's so glitchy, so that might be the internet. Honestly, we just got an email today from the guy that's in charge of the internet at the district. Look, mine even says it. It says your internet connection is unstable. I'll try to talk slow so that it doesn't glitch too much on us, and maybe you can hear the words in between. But the guy at the district was saying that because everyone is doing everything online right now, that everyone's internet across the entire world is super slow right now, and that they're trying to find ways to increase internet speed, and people are working on that. So we're doing the best we can. Sorry if it's super glitchy. I'm recording this right now, so if it just doesn't work out for you and it's just not working, I'll send out the video later, and you guys can re-watch what we talk about. But hopefully it does work. All right, so you guys are all commenting already, which is great. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Leanne refreshed it and it works now. Amir says he can't hear anything. Amir, can you hear anything yet? Click to share audio with computer. Oh yeah, so there's a button to click. Hi, Shella. Okay, perfect. Awesome, so we have 28 of you guys in here. Amir's good now, awesome. If at any moment in time you guys want to use your own audio, I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but I think I put the option that you could. So if any moment in time you want to unmute yourself, you can try to do so. And if you can't figure it out, let me know and I will unmute you if you have something you want to say or a question you want to ask. So if you guys do have questions about the homework stuff, that's essentially what this is for right now, is for me to be able to answer questions about any of the videos that you guys have been watching over the last 3 days, or any other questions that you have. I'll spend the first 5 minutes or so just kind of saying hi and talking about what I know about what's going on, and if you guys have any questions about what's going on in terms of regular school stuff or whatever, I can answer that now. And then maybe in about 5 minutes, we'll go into some of the questions. So if you already know you have questions, you can start to type them in the comments and I will read them. And I will share my screen with you as we work out examples together. If you don't have questions that you know of, I'll just try to work out some of the examples from the homework with you, and then that way you guys can ask me questions as we go. So a couple of the things I know. I know that we are all home right now. I hope that you guys are doing your very best job of social distancing. I know that it's probably incredibly, incredibly difficult to be away from people, especially if you're a very social person. Myself, probably being the least social person I know, I could thrive in this lifestyle for years. If I never had to leave my house, I'd be okay with that forever. But that's just because I'm very antisocial. Some of you guys are not very antisocial and you love to be around people. So it's fun to be able to see your faces, and it's fun to be able to see you guys. I hope you're continuing to keep in contact with each other. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching the numbers as you go through the days of the number of cases that have continued to spread throughout the United States. So the best thing we can do right now is just to keep away from each other and not continue to spread it so quickly because this virus is very, very contagious. So again, even though probably all of us would be just fine, there are people in our communities who wouldn't. We want to help out our hospitals and our doctors and our nurses to not get overwhelmed all at once. So continue to do your part, continue to tell your friends and your family members how important it is to meet in smaller groups and distance ourselves from others, because that's really honestly the only thing we can do right now to help do our part to contain the virus as much as possible. But enough of that. Let's see what's going on. It has been a crazy, crazy time over here in the Martinez household. We are running after 3 kids all the time. They are all napping right now. I put them all on a very strict napping schedule. So they're not allowed to come out of their room until 3, but they probably will in about an hour because they don't know how to tell time. So we'll keep this short and brief so that they don't ruin our video. And if they do, you guys will just have to say hi to them. But we've been having a lot of fun. I hope that I'm able to keep up with all of your guys' questions. I've loved your check-ins and reading all your responses. I hope you got to answer the check-in today. I'm going to take some time later to read through all of those responses because it is very important to me that I am not overwhelming you. And it's also very important to me that your other teachers are not overwhelming you. So I'm trying to give a brief amount of work, but depending on how comfortable you are with the material, it might take more time than I expect. And I want you to know that I'm trying to be very flexible. Everything is very up in the air right now in terms of what's happening with testing and all that kind of stuff when we come back. So we're just gonna have to figure it out together and day by day. But the good news is that we were so close to being done with the curriculum when we left. So there's really only this lesson and then a couple other minor ones. And then from there on out, we can kind of work at our own pace and review for an AP test, whatever that AP test is going to look like. I have seen reports that they're trying to figure out a way to maybe have you guys take your AP tests at home. I don't know if any of you guys have followed along with that story, but that's one of the things I've heard is that maybe College Board will try to have you guys take them at home. I just really don't know. I really don't know what it looks like. So that is the update on that. We'll work at our own pace after spring break, kind of trying to review, and I'll hopefully host one of these meetings a week and we can kind of do some review stuff together, and we'll do that. A couple other things you guys are probably wondering about. I know that people have asked me questions about the tests that you guys took right before we left. If you were not there that day, it was a group test. So I haven't graded them yet. My plan is to grade them next week when we're off of school. And then I will put them into your grade books. If you weren't there, I will send it to you, and then we'll just go on our system that you're going to do the best you can on your own. And that way we can have you send me a picture back or something, and we'll put them into the grade book. So next week, I'm going to try and get grades updated just so you guys can have kind of like an idea. Really how grades are going to work for me from here on out is how much effort you're putting in, because I understand this is very new for all of us. None of you signed up to take an online class, so I'm not trying to hold you guys to this super high standard that I might have held you to if we were in class together. All I'm asking is that you try your best, that you reach out for help if you need help, and that you are showing effort, that you are doing your very best to understand all the concepts and get everything that we're trying to get through. If you can do that, then you're good in my book. All right. So please don't stress about your grades. Please don't worry about them. I will take into consideration what your grade was when we left on Friday, but I will also take into consideration the fact that we're going to have some time here where we're away from each other, and we'll figure out how to merge those two together as we get closer to the end of the semester. So don't stress. You guys will be great. Let me think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about other than that. Do you guys have any questions for me about anything? National Ravioli Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's great. I do love raviolis so much. My husband doesn't like pasta. He says it gives him heartburn. Everyone gets a 3. Wouldn't that be great, Ethan, if they just gave everyone a passing score? You're eating raviolis right now, Jaden? Good job. Kaylin, I know, I didn't eat breakfast today. I lied. I just had coffee. Mini wheats. Mini wheats are delicious. Justin is hungry. All right. Giuliano wants to know if I'm putting the homework in the grade book. I am going to put the homework into the grade book the same way I always have, which is that I will check it if you did it or not, and I will put it into the grade book. That's all that homework is it's based on effort. It's really going to be the best way for you to decide whether or not you actually know what you're talking about. So at the end of the week, I think what I decided is at the end of the week, I'm going to have you guys send me a picture or scan or whatever is easiest for you. Take a picture or scan your homework and then just send it to me, and I will mark it down that you've done it, and I'll put it into the grade book. Your daily check-ins are also going to go into your grade book, kind of like a participation grade, but it will go in the homework category. So as long as you guys are checking in with me every day, that will go in there. I will probably try to put some stuff in the assessment category, but again, it's going to be from a remote location. So you guys will be taking those assessments at home. And I'm not going to try to make them super, super difficult. I just really want to know if you know and understand a basic understanding of what we're talking about. So you will have little things like that going into the gradebook. But I'm very flexible on timelines. I know some of you guys have more time in the world than others. So we'll just try to figure it out together the best we can. I highly encourage you though to always reach out to me if you have a question, or if you need an extension on something. If I do put a deadline and you need an extension, please ask, because I won't know what your situation is if you don't tell me. So just reach out and tell me, hey, this is my situation. I need to turn it in on Monday, or I need XYZ, whatever it is. All right, Jake, I have no idea how you change your name. You gotta figure that out. You probably typed that in when you entered the chat room. Sam can help you. She said she figured it out. What happened? Your name? Da, 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 da. Andrew Hyben. Hi, Mr. Hyben. Mr. Hyben's in our chat room too. If you guys want to say hi to him, he said, "Keep up the good work. You guys are doing a great job." Let's see. Giuliano says, "What about previous homework that we might not have turned in after the test on Friday?" Most of you guys have like 100% in your homework category. So the way that grades work is, as long as you continue to turn in all of your homework assignments, you will continue to have 100%. It's not going to go up. It's not going to go down. With that said, it probably wouldn't really affect your grade that much to whether or not you turned in your homework. So because this is all kind of crazy right now, let's just say that specific one that Giuliano is talking about, which is the one that should have been due on Friday, the day of the test. If you want to send it to me, and I'll put it into your grade book, but I'm not going to take points away if you don't. Like I said, we're all just trying to do the best we can to keep up with the workload. And so from here, we'll kind of have to pick and choose what we're going to put into the gradebook and what we're not. So I am not going to prioritize making you send me that homework assignment. Instead, we'll just pick up from here. So the first homework assignment I will check is the one that we are talking about this week, and that's the only one I will expect you to send to me that I will put into the gradebook. The one from Friday, we'll put a pass on that. All right, Isabella wants to know if we can still turn in our test corrections through email. Absolutely, feel free to turn in your test corrections. I will definitely put those in. Now more than ever, like I said, I'm very flexible. So please, 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 please feel free. Sunday wants to know, is our final still an AP test? Sunday, it really depends on what the situation looks like coming back to school. So our tentative date coming back to school is the 6th of April. If you read in the news, we just really don't know what's happening. I don't know if we'll come back on the 6th of April. I don't know if we'll come back on the 10th of April. I don't know if we'll come back at the end of April or whatever. So we're gonna have to take it day by day. As of right now, if we go back to school on the 6th of April, yes, your final will probably still be an AP test. If we end up having an extension where we do not go back to school on the 6th of April, your final will look very, very different. So it would probably be more just like an Edulastic thing where you guys are answering questions, multiple choice on Edulastic, and then maybe I'll give you guys some free responses. Like I said earlier, grades are very fluid in the sense that if you're putting in your best effort, I'm not really trying to like mark you down just for getting stuff wrong. Especially with everybody doing their best. So let's put that as the message. If we come back on April 6th, yes, your final will still be an old AP test, and we'll still do it the same way we said we were going to. If we have an extended school closure and we don't come back on April 6th, then no, you're probably not going to have a final that looks like that. We'll figure out something else, and it would probably be much closer to the end of the school year. And we wouldn't do it the same way we were going to, where we would do it little by little in April. So I would probably wait until the end of April or beginning of May, if that was how long the school was closed for. But like I said, we'll hear more soon about what's happening with that, and then we'll go from there. So we really just don't know. We really just don't know. To answer your question, can I turn in a 0 that's already in the gradebook? Sure, you turn in whatever you want. It's a free-for-all. If you have 0s in your gradebook, turn in 0s that are in your gradebook. If you have old tests that are low and you want to do corrections on them, you let me know and I'll send you a picture of the test and you guys can redo test corrections on it. Literally whatever you need is what I'm here for. That check-in, if you already did the check-in for today, one of the things on there is how have you been feeling? And one of the things I want to take away from you as much as possible is anxiety related to this class. So if you have been feeling anxious about this class, I want to take away all of that anxiety. I literally want you to hear loud and clear that I just want you to do the best you can. That's all I'm asking, is you to do the best you can. The best you can would be turning in random zeros that you have in the gradebook. The best you can would be doing test corrections for previous tests that we took. The best you can would be watching all of the videos and attempting all of the homework. That's all I'm asking of you. I am not I'm not asking for perfection. I'm not asking for mastery. I am asking for effort, because the more effort you get, the more you will learn. The more anxious you feel about it, it's just going to tear you down, and you're not going to be very productive. So please reach out with everything. No question too small. I am very, very, very flexible on everything related to grade-wise. I know you guys are all very concerned about grades in my class and others. I'm very flexible grade-wise, so please keep that in mind. Giuliano loves my kitchen. Thanks, Giuliano. That's my kitchen. You want to see our big mess? Here's our big mess. Woo. Look at that. It's a big mess. Oh my gosh, my microphone fell down. You guys, I've never been more prepared to do like video chats. Check out this microphone I got. Hold on. Ew. Oh my gosh. Look. You see that? Look at that legit mic. Doesn't this sound good? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. I could sing a song to you guys. But I won't. There we go. I got the microphone actually. I don't know if you guys remember the SBAC video last year that we recorded, but we were in the middle of recording another one when I got this microphone to record the video. And we already recorded the song. So I'm going to send it out to you guys later, because I think they already canceled SBAC testing this year. That's what I heard from the governor. So I'm going to send out the song. I'm going to make it into an MP3, and I'll send it out to Mr. Mitchell so we can, maybe we'll still make the video. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the teachers still make the video with me from their houses, and we'll send it out to you. Did you guys watch the Titan Media that Mr. Mitchell sent out this morning? We were laughing about that. We thought it was funny. So we'll try to make the video, and then we'll send it out through Titan Media, and you guys can see it then. Anyway, that's why I have a little microphone. All right, let's see what else. Sounds good. Kansas said nah and closed for the rest of the year. Yeah, Ethan, I kind of have a feeling we're going to be pushed back to April 6th. So did Cal Poly, UCR, imagine. I love how teachers are really cool people too. I'm not a cool person. I'm just super cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, the dogs, I forgot. My dogs are so still. Sometimes I forget about them. Yeah, I know, Michaela. Aren't they big? They're ginormous. Oh, ASMR. You guys know. Sorry, Andrew's over here like, can we just get started on this meeting? It's a Band-Aid being open. What do you think? Is that good? My son loves Band-Aids. He thinks that they're like accessories. He just puts them on his fingers. Just like that. All right. No. Please sing. What do you want me to sing? You want me to give you a little preview of our SBAC song? The Moana one. Oh, I forgot the Moana one. Start a singing career. Can we see your kids? My kids are sleeping, Carolina. Hence why this video had to be at 1 p.m. Band-Aid gave me chills. All right, let's see. I don't know any good songs. I'm just gonna send you, I don't like to sing live because it's embarrassing for me because I'm a terrible singer. So when you see the SBAC video, you guys will have to hear me sing. All right, now that I have thoroughly wasted 22 minutes of your time, why don't we get started? I am going to wait a few seconds. If you guys have questions about any of the problems, you let me know in the comments. If you don't bring up questions about the problems, I will just start doing some of them, and then you guys can ask questions as we go. So did anybody start the homework and have questions right now for me? I don't get the part with the K and when the exponent is E. Is one of the questions, is that a specific number, or you're asking about one of the problems from the video? Look at the part with the K when the exponent is E. Question 1B. All right, we're starting with 1B. If you have more questions, continue typing them in the comments. All right, let's see how to do this. Share my screen. I'm going to share this. Share. Perfect. Hopefully you guys can all still see that. I can't see the chat anymore, so I don't know if you can see it or not. Can I see the chat? Ooh, I can, perfect. All right, question 1B, also with the absolute values and the y. All right, so let me go through 1B together with you guys, and then if you have questions as I'm going, feel free to type them in. And then I will come back and talk about those as I see them. All right, 1B. All right, why don't I just go through 1 altogether? That way, if you guys have questions about how to do 1A, you can do it too. First of all, if I write this, let me do a little test run really quick because I don't know. If I write something on here, can you see it? No. All right. Let's see, we got to figure out a different way of doing that then. Let's see, is there a pen? Annotate. Yes. Text. Draw. Draw. That's what I want. I want to draw. I want to draw with somebody. There you go. That's my scene. How do I make it bigger? Format. Jeez, I'm a genius. Wish everybody was as smart as me and knew how to use Zoom. Just kidding. I have no idea how to use Zoom. Okay, I want to make it easier to read. Let's make it a darker color. How about blue? Line width. There we go. All right, when I was drawing on that, could you guys see that? Type in the comments if you could see it. Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So let me close out of this. How accurate does the slope field have to look? Because it just looks like a bunch of lines to me. Great question. Let's talk about that right now. So it says, consider the differential equation dy dx equals 1 plus y over x, where x does not equal 0. On the axes provided below, sketch a slope field for the given differential equation at the 8 points indicated. Use the axes provided in the pink exam booklet. That's what color they used to be, I believe. So to answer your question, how accurate do they have to be? They do not have to be super accurate as long as the ones that are supposed to be steeper are steeper and the ones that are not supposed to be as steep are not as steep. For example, let's take this point, you guys can't see that. Let's take the point 1, 0. So if you make kind of like a little XY chart, you can't see that. How about this? This is going to be a learning curve for me as I do this. Well, goodness gracious. Let's do this. Okay. If we make a little XY chart, this is really legit right here. I'm going to make an XY dy. dy. This is not good. dy dx chart. All right, I'm only going to do one example of this because obviously this is terrible. Look at this. All right, so let's use this point right here. This is a point 1, 0. So when x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 0, if I plug those into this equation up here, dy dx, I get 1 plus the y value. Well, the y value is 0, so 1 plus 0 on the top, which is 1. And then on the bottom, it's just the x value. So the x value is 1. So it's 1 over 1. So what we're trying to do here is we are trying to make a line that has a slope of +1. So Giuliano asked, how accurate does it have to be? It does not have to be super accurate. That is probably accurate enough. The point that becomes important is whether or not the other points around it are steeper or less steep. So for example, let's try the point 1, 1. So x equals 1 and y equals 1. If I plug that in up here, I get 1 plus 1 on the top, which is 2. And then on the bottom is the x value, which is just 1. So 2 over 1 is equal to 2, which you know I don't have to write that. So the point is that at 1, 0, my slope was 1. At 1, 1, I need to draw a line that's just a little bit steeper. That looks like that. So who knows if that's actually a slope of 2, but just notice it's a little bit steeper than this one down here. That's really all that matters. And then if I plug in this point down here, 1, negative 1, if I plug in 1, negative 1, I would get 1 plus negative 1 in the top, because that y value is negative 1. So 1 plus negative 1 is 0, and then in the bottom would just be 1. So 0 over 1 is 0, and those ones they actually do care about. They want a horizontal line for those. So let me tell you what the reader and what I would be looking for in an example like this. I would look for zero slopes actually being zero, that you actually drew it as zero. I would look for positive slopes being positive and negative slopes being negative. And last but not least, I would look for the angle that you drew the slope at, depending on how it relates to those around it. So I'm not looking for an exact precise slope of 1. I am looking, though, that a slope of 1 is less steep than a slope of 2, if that makes sense. So that's how you do that. You take the different coordinate points for x and y values, you plug them into that dy dx equation up there at the top, and then you draw the different slopes based on what you get. All right, perfect. Clear all drawings. Okay, so I hope that that answers question A. Let me go ahead and pull up the chat really quick so that I can see if you guys had any questions about A. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Giuliano. Lines that form a circle. I don't know what that means. If you want to elaborate on that, Giuliano, I don't know what you mean when you say lines that form a circle. Melissa said, will the AP exam give us a lot of points to do the slope field? Not usually. The most I've ever seen is like 9 or 10 maybe, but typically it's closer to like 6, so it's not a ton. All right, Mr. Hyben's out. Bye, Hyben. Well, the slopes always form a circle like the first video. Got it. Okay, so the reason, Elvia, that in the first video the slopes always formed a circle is because the equation that was being given to us, the differential equation, which is that whole dy dx business, that equation was the equation for the derivative of a circle. So that's why when we looked at the slope fields, it looked like a circle. Not all of them will do that. So for example, if you had an equation that was the derivative of the sine function, when you graph those lines, it would start to look like the sine function. If you had a graph that was the derivative, or excuse me, if you had an equation that was the derivative of a parabola, when you graphed those parabola, so those slope field points for that derivative equation, you would see that it would start to look like a parabola. So the point of a slope field is, given any derivative, it shows you what the original function would look like based on what the derivative is. So the only reason that that first one looked like a circle and that they were all going like that was because that was the derivative of a circle's equation. So I hope that that answers that question. Got it. Giuliano had the same question. So I hope that answers the question for everyone. The only reason that first example in the video looked like a circle was because that was the derivative of a circle. It only works in that case. Okay, let's go ahead and try 1b. Let's try 1b. All right, so 1 plus y over x. I really wish what I was drawing here would show up on your screen, but it doesn't. All right, let's try this one more time because it's gonna get annoying to write with my trackpad. Does this work? Maybe if I'm slower, it'll work. Let me try to. All right, I like that. Raw. And then I need to make this a different color. Why don't I make it? I probably should have made that other box a different color too. Let's make it white. That way I can draw in black and you guys can see easier. Okay. So the equation was dy, okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to go slow because this is the best way to do it, but it looks good this way. Dx equals 1 plus y over x. This actually might be helpful. I know I talk way too fast sometimes. I apologize for that. Okay, so let's do this one together. First things first, it is important to separate the variables. So notice that over here we have a dy on the left-hand side. You guys can see it right here, there's a dy over dx. And over here on the right-hand side, we have this 1 plus y business over x. So what I want to do is I want to separate the variables. I want to keep everything that has an x on the right-hand side and everything that has a y on the left-hand side. So by doing that, I get to multiply, because dx is in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply it over to the other side. And then I'm going to take this 1 plus y and I'm going to divide it over to the right-hand side. So you need to think of this 1 plus y over x kind of like two fractions. So you can think of it as 1 plus y over 1 times 1 over x. If that helps, write that on your paper. So again, I'll say it 1 plus y over 1, the fraction 1 plus y over 1, times 1 over x. And by doing that, by separating them, you can see how they're kind of two separate factors. And that way it's easier to realize why, or how I should say, we're getting rid of that 1 plus y. So the 1 over x is going to stay over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to move the dx over to be with that 1 over x. So you guys will see that in just a minute. I'm going to multiply dx over to the right, and it will stay with 1 over x. The 1 plus y, I'm going to divide over to the left-hand side. When you divide it, it ends up in the denominator of a fraction, right? So I'm not multiplying it to be next to the dy. I'm going to divide it, so it will be 1 over 1 plus y. So let me write that right now. So it's going to be 1 over 1 plus y dy equals 1 over x dx. So again, the 1 over y, 1 plus y got moved over to the other side by being divided, and the dx got moved over to the other side by being multiplied. Notice that now we have a separation of variables. We have all the y's on one side and we have all of the x's on the other side. So, let me make sure we don't have any, let's see if we have any chats. Oh, that's not even gonna work, is it? I just wanted to make sure I didn't bring up any new questions because of that. I think it would work if you're broadcasting from your iPad. I am broadcasting from my iPad, kind of. I mean, I'm doing it here. I'm like writing on my iPad with Doceri. I don't know. You guys are probably all smarter than me about that. Okay, good. I don't think I have any new questions yet about what I've done. So again, I will come back to check the chat every step or two. So if you guys do have questions about what I've done, please just put them in the chat and then we'll go from there. Okay, so let's continue. So from here, now that we have separated the variables, we are going to integrate both sides because we are trying to solve this differential equation. So in order to solve the differential equation, we will integrate the left like this. We will integrate the right like this. Perfect. Of these two sides, the side that is easier to integrate is the right-hand side. We hopefully all know that the integral of 1 over x is the natural log of x, ln of x. Now be careful because you have to put the natural log of the absolute value of x, remember, because the natural log has a domain of only positive numbers. So the integral of, and I'll change this color back to black, the integral of 1 over x is ln of the absolute value of x. ln of the absolute value of x. And I know that my L looks a lot like an absolute value bar, so I'm going to do that. Hopefully that makes it easier to see. Sorry, normally in class I do it with a little curly L, but it's difficult to do curved lines right now. So ln of the absolute value of x, don't forget it because this is an indefinite integral. We have to add that plus c at the end. All right, and now we can work on this side. So 1 over 1 plus y. Let me get a piece of paper really quick. I'll be right back. My paper is underneath my desk. I'm back. Sunday wants to know, is the plus c always on the right? Yes, typically that's how it's done. When we integrate the other side as well, technically it would have a plus c with it, but since we have a constant on one side and a constant on the other side, the idea behind only putting it on the right is because if you add something to one side and add something to the other side, and you decide to combine those two constants later, it's just going to be another constant. So it's okay just to put the plus c once. We haven't figured out what c is yet, so it's not affecting the value of our problem. So the reason I wanted to get another piece of paper is because the left-hand side, when we integrate the left-hand side, 1 over 1 plus y, we need to use u substitution. So I'm just going to write it on this paper and then hold it up to the camera, and hopefully you guys can see it. I'll try to hold it up close so you can see it. So if I set u equal to 1 plus y, and you guys should be writing this on your paper as well if you're following along with your notes. The derivative of that would be du. The derivative of 1 plus y, keeping in mind, by the way, because remember that integrals, the d part here, right? Oops. Oh my gosh. I got rid of it. There it is. Okay. The dy part right here tells you what the important variable is. So in this integral, it's telling us that the important variable is y. And so when we are integrating 1 over 1 plus y, we know that the important variable is y. And so we can just treat that like an x as we go through the problem, is what I was trying to say. So I set my u equal to 1 plus y. I set my du equal to the derivative of that. So the derivative of 1 is 0, since it's a constant. The derivative of y is 1, since that's my important variable, and then dy. So far, this is what I have. So I have u equals 1 plus y. I have du equals 1 dy. Can you guys even read that? Is that backwards? Oh my gosh. If it's backwards, just tell me and I'll never do that again, because what's the point of writing anything backwards? You guys can't read that. It is not backwards. Yes. Just thank you, Einstein, for creating smart things. Obviously, I didn't. So if I do that and I set my u and I do my u substitution, notice there's nothing extra in the derivative, so I don't have to move anything over to the other side. So if I do the u substitution, it would look like this. It would look like the integral of 1 over u du. This is what the left-hand side would look like. The integral of 1 over u du. So the integral of 1 over u is the natural log of the absolute value of u. This would be the natural log of the absolute value of u. Like this. Notice I don't have a plus c. That's because we already said we're going to put the plus c on the other side. So that's just going to be the integral, the natural log of the absolute value of u. And then at this point, I can replace u back with what it equals. So if I replace u back with what it equals, it would be, and I'll do this on our monitor again, it would be the natural log ln of the absolute value. And instead of putting a u, it would be what u is equal to. And u is equal to 1 plus y. So the integral of 1 over 1 plus y is the natural log of the absolute value of 1 plus y. Okay, I'm continuing to check the comments. So if you have questions, you let me know in those comments. At this point, we need to isolate the y. So we have found a general solution for this equation. If I come back over here again, I actually didn't read the question very thoroughly. It says, find the particular solution to the differential equation with the initial condition -1, 1, and state its domain. So this is a general solution. We need a specific solution. So I'm just going to go ahead and jot down our initial condition, which was -1, 1. Initial condition is -1, 1. There we go. That parenthesis didn't look very good. Perfect. Just so I don't forget later. So there are options at this point. If you want to, and I typically suggest to my students to do this, I would use the initial condition now and plug the initial condition into the equation to solve for the c value. Because usually at this step, as soon as you take the integral, this is the easiest time to figure out what c is. If you isolate y and then come back to finding the initial condition, using the initial condition to find c at the end, it usually ends up being more difficult than it needed to. So I would suggest doing it now. So I'm going to plug -1, 1 into my equation. So 1 everywhere I see a y, and I'm going to plug in -1 everywhere I see an x. So when I do that, I get I'll do this in black again. When I do that, I get the natural log. Oh, I can do a little curly natural log. Perfect. The natural log of 1 plus 1, since y is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. It's the natural log of 2. Notice I don't have absolute value bars around it because 2 is a positive number. On the left-hand side, it equals the natural log of the absolute value of -1. And so since that's a negative value and the natural log is not allowed to have negative values in it, I'm going to make that a positive 1. So the reason I'm plugging in positive 1, I'll say that one more time, is because up here our x value is -1, but if I plug -1 here into these absolute value bars, here I'll spotlight. Ready? Does this work? No? That's it? How about this? Okay, that's better. Our x value is -1. And so if I'm plugging that in here, if I plug in -1 down here, the absolute value of -1 is +1. So that's how I got +1 right here. Okay, so ln of 1 plus c. There we go. So now we want to isolate c. We want to get c by itself. Well, first of all, it's important to know that the natural log of 1 is equal to 0. So please, please, please make sure you guys are remembering that. We've been talking about it since the beginning of the school year, but the natural log of 1 is 0. So really, if I simplify this, I would get the natural log of 2 equals 0 plus c. So c is equal to the natural log of 2. I don't need to know what the natural log of 2 is. You can leave it as the natural log of 2, and that's totally fine. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to come back over here to my original equation, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in my c value, which is the natural log of 2. So to do that, I'm going to say ln of, oops, go back. ln of the absolute value of 1 plus y is equal to ln of the absolute value of x plus, oops, plus ln of 2. Okay. Technically, this is a specific, not an, a. This is a specific solution, but it is not isolated for y, and they are going to want to have a particular solution where it's y equals something. They don't want y mixed up in the ln business. So right here it says find a particular solution y equals f of x. So we need to isolate y in order to be able to have a solution that would meet their criteria. So first thing we need to know, y is currently inside of a natural log function. Remember that the natural log is a possessive function. So since it's inside of the natural log function, I need to get it outside of the natural log function. We can do that by doing what you guys call the swoop-de-whoop, what I call the wraparound. So remember that the natural log has a base of e, so I can take that. Sorry, the dog scared me. I hope she didn't scare you. That was really hey. Okay, hold on. I gotta go put her in the garage. I don't know what she's barking at. Sabrina, come here. You can't bark. Okay, if she barks again, I'll go put her in the garage. What was I saying? Oh, you guys call it the swoop-de-whoop. I call it the wraparound. The natural log is a base of e. So to do the wraparound or to do the swoop-de-whoop, you would take that base of e, you would raise it to the power of everything that's on the other side, and then equals the 1 plus y business. So let's go ahead and do that. So what my equation is going to look like now is 1 plus y equals, wait for it, e, and then all of that stuff in the exponent, ln of the absolute value of x plus ln of the value 2. Ooh, so beautiful. Now, this may be an unfortunate time for us to be out of school, because these problems, out of any problems in the entire unit, in the entire curriculum in calculus, these problems, and the answer keys that I'll send you, and then on the AP test ones, like for the FRQs and things, they will simplify them so much. And I always tell you guys not to simplify stuff, because the AP test doesn't care. So they would never write it like that. They would never leave it like that. They would combine that ln of x and that 2 together. I'll answer your question in just a second, Melina. They would combine that ln of x and that 2 together using the product property of logarithms, and then they would probably simplify it and then bring that down, that 2 as a constant. There's a lot of stuff that they would do to simplify. So if you guys look at the answer key for this problem, it probably looks very different than how I'm going to write my answer, but they're the same. They're equivalent answers. One thing that I always encourage my students to do is I always encourage them to Desmos, like graph it on Desmos. So if you take the answer that you got and type it into Desmos, and then you take the answer that they're telling you is the correct answer, and they might not look a ton alike, but if you're taking that answer and then the one that you got and putting both of them into Desmos, if they pull up as the same graph, that means that you have a correct answer. You don't need to simplify it and write it just like theirs. So earlier when you guys were asking about this question, you might have had problems because I think that K value that you were referring to, Sunday, is because they were taking that whole e to the ln of 2 and they were saying, okay, cool, this is base e and this is base e, so this is just 2 up here and multiplying it. So they probably wrote their final answer as 2 times e to the natural log of x, but then e and the natural log also simplify. Anyway, I will pause. It can be simplified further. We don't need to simplify further because that's not what the AP test is asking for. The AP test is asking whether or not we know how to isolate y. They will give you credit for an equivalent answer. So if our answer is equivalent, it is correct. So let me answer Melena's question, which is ln turning into e. So it's not that the natural log turned into e, it's that we did the wraparound. So let me write it on my paper and then I'll show you on the webcam because it's a little harder to write it on the screen. So we had the natural log of the absolute value of 1 plus y equals the natural log of the absolute value of x plus ln of 2. Now remembering that the natural log is log base e of 1 plus y equals ln of the absolute value of x plus ln of 2. I'm doing what I call the wraparound. Oops, my little wraparound went too far. So let me see if I can show this. So remember that ln is log base e. So I took that e and I said e to that power of everything over there is equal to 1 plus y, the absolute value of 1 plus y. So I'm just doing the wraparound and converting it into exponential form. It's not that the natural log turned into an e, it's that I'm isolating that 1 plus y by getting rid of the natural log on that side of the function, by rearranging it. So it was written in logarithmic form, now it's written in exponential form. Sunday said, I hope that answers your question, Melena, but if not, please continue to ask. Okay, perfect. Sunday said, was that because they didn't use the initial condition? So Sunday, in their example, I have to pull it up. I don't have it pulled up right now. But in their example, they may have waited until the end to solve for the initial condition, and that's why they had a K in there. I'm not exactly sure. So I think that in that example, if I'm remembering correctly, they might have waited until the end to solve for K. So I hope that that answers your question. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we finish this problem, because there's one teeny tiny little step left to finish this problem. The last thing that I want to talk about is the absolute value business. So do you see how we got rid? Do you see how we got rid? Oops. There you go. We got rid of our absolute value bars when I did that. So you need to make a conscious decision on whether or not those absolute value bars were necessary in our problem or not. And here's what I mean by that. It all depends on the initial condition. So let me say this very loudly and very clearly, because this is a part that students might get confused on. So my question is, were these absolute value bars necessary over here on this 1 plus y? Were these absolute value bars necessary in order to get our answer of ln of 2? So here's what I mean. Our initial condition is -1, 1. The y value of that is 1. If I take 1 and plug it in right here, I would get 1 plus 1, which is 2. Do the absolute value bars become necessary to make that 2 a positive 2, or is it okay? Is 2 already positive? So the answer to that question is 2 is already positive. We did not need the absolute value bars there to tell us that 2 needed to become positive. That is different, by the way, than the other side. That is different than the other side. On this side of the equation, my x value is -1. If I plug -1 in here, we did need the absolute value bars to make that -1 a positive 1. But we're not talking about that absolute value right now. We're talking about the one on the left-hand side of the equation. So using these absolute value bars was not necessary in order to get our initial condition of 2, of ln of 2, excuse me. And so because of that, we can drop them and we do not need them. I'll say that one more time. Because we did not need the absolute value bars over here when we isolated 1 plus y, we do not need them in this next step because they were not used in order to get the c value. The only reason that would change is if it was used. Let's say our y value wasn't 1. Let's say our y value is -2. If I had a -2 y value, it would be 1 plus -2, which is -1. And then the absolute value of that would have turned it into a positive 1. If that is the case, if you do need to utilize those absolute value bars in order to change the number inside to become a positive, then what happens is that your right-hand side of the equation, well, technically it's the left-hand side, your left-hand side of the equation actually becomes negative. We need it to become negative in order to make that a true statement for our initial condition. If there's not an example like that in your homework, I'll try to find one if you remind me to find one, and that way I'll do it on our next video. So you guys can see what I mean by that. But that's what happens is if that absolute value bar is utilized, we would put a negative out front right here, and we would continue solving the equation. So we would divide the negative over to this side and then subtract the 1. But since the absolute value bars were not utilized, we do not need the negative. They just get dropped because they were not necessary for this problem, at least in terms of this side of the equation. If you have questions about what I just said, please type them in the comments. If not, I will continue. The only thing left that we have to do is isolate y one more time by subtracting 1 from both sides. So if I do that, by subtracting 1, I get y. Oops, I don't want that. I want this. We get y is equal to e to the natural log of x. Again, this could totally be simplified, but is not necessary for my class or the AP test. So please don't waste your time and energies. ln of 2 and then -1. That is the final answer for the particular solution. The question also wants to know its domain. For right now, because I want to respect some of your guys' time, I know we've had an hour now on this video. I don't necessarily want to go into that because it's not a question that comes up super often, so I won't go further into that explanation. This piece of it right here is the main thing I want you to get away, and this is actually one of the more difficult problems, so I'm glad that we did this one together. And I hope that you were able to track. I know that the answer key can look difficult. I'm so sorry I didn't have an opportunity. I'm so sorry we're not together for me to have an opportunity to explain to you that they go ahead and simplify their answers a ton, which is unnecessary. I hope that this helped in the sense of understanding it's okay to leave your answers unsimplified, especially now with being away from each other, and it's going to be difficult for you to ask me questions, and it's necessary for you to be a little bit more independent. The one thing I always want you to do is when you're going through your homework and you get an answer, type your answer into Desmos, find the answer from the answer key I've sent you and type that answer into Desmos. And if they're the same, it means you've got a correct answer. Yours is just in a different equivalent form, and that is okay. It's okay with me. It's okay with the AP test. It should be okay with you. If you're curious as to how they got the answers and simplified them further, of course I can help you with that, but I don't need you to simplify them further. And in fact, I really don't want you to simplify them further because this is a perfectly fine and a perfectly correct answer. So at this point, Let me stop sharing my screen and I'll pull back up. Hopefully you guys all got that. Let's clear all this, clear all drawings, close out of that, stop sharing. All right, there's me full screen again. Let's see what else. All right. Hi, Elbia's brother. I will respect your time, and I will, unless you guys have more questions. If you have more questions, I can wait here and answer some more questions. But I know that you guys were participating, and you have lots of other things to do, so I won't waste your time if you guys have other things to do. So, does anybody else have more questions for me before we sign off with each other? No. Okay. Oh, I miss you too, Giuliano. Justin, I'll have question too. Why don't we do this? I will record a tutorial, like a video tutorial, but I'll do it on Doceri because it's really hard for me to write on this video chat right now. So I will record a video for question 2 and I will send it out to you guys on YouTube. And then that way, if you have specific questions about it, you guys can ask me. I hope that you are, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're able to manage all of your homework. If you guys have questions or anything, please reach out. If you're stressed and just need help with anything, reach out as well. I will try to set up another one of these, maybe not next week, unless you guys want it. I guess I'll send out a text and ask if you want to, but if you're good next week to just chill, that's fine with me. But I'll try to set up another one of these for the week after spring break so that we can have another video chat with each other. All right, if there's nothing else, calculus and chill, there you go. Perfect. Okay, you guys, love to all of you. Tell your families I said hi. Everybody say hi to Sam's dog. Look at this. Look at this cute dog right here. Sam, here we go, hold on. In spotlight video. Oh, look at that dog. So cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, we are the calculations. That's right, Sunday. We are the nation of calculus, the calculations. Hi, Chris. Bye, guys. All right, take care. Have a good one. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. Hey, I like your picture, Dimitri. No, you hang up first. Bye, guys. Have a good one. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye, bye. Mm-hmm. You guys aren't going to hang up on. You're going to make me hang up first. There's still 9 of you guys in here. All right, I'm hanging up. I don't know how to hang up. I got to figure out how to hang up first. Bye, everyone. Take care. Go have fun. Bye. End meeting. I figured it out. I got it. End meeting. Bye, everyone.